Blasted out the airlock! Why not? Because my copy of Nemesis is on that shelf and that'll get blasted out too. So? It's one of my favourite games! Are you serious right now? And it's really expensive and difficult to get hold of! I don't think you have to worry about Nemesis much longer. My precious Nemesis! Get away from her, you bit... Oh. You just want to play? Alright then. Let's play Nemesis! Nemesis describes itself as an iconic science fiction horror adventure, and that's where I'm going to have to disagree. This is not horror. It's just not scary. It's little pieces of plastic on a cardboard board that you will likely be playing in a well-lit room because the board is very dark, and if you're not in a well-lit room, you're not going to be able to see. Tense? Sure. Scary? Nah. And I would actually go one further and say that Nemesis is a science fiction comedy. Now, if you've played the game, you'll know. It is never not funny when another player is in a room with an intruder and you decide to help by throwing in a grenade and locking all the doors around them. It is never not funny when that other player somehow manages to get out of that room only for the captain to pull rank and send them right back in. It is never not funny when that player, all their ammunition exhausted, resorts to trying to punch the intruder to death knowing just how bad an idea that is. And it is never not funny when against all odds that player somehow survives only for my finger to slip and for them to get sucked out of an airlock.
Disclaimer, may not be funny if you're the player this is happening to.
Nemesis is a huge box, tightly packed with lots and lots of stuff. You've got cubes, triangles, circles, all the shapes you could want, 26 highly detailed miniatures, 325 cards across over 20 decks, little racks for players to put their items in, and all of this other stuff too. Nemesis also comes with this little stand which instructs you to take a cool picture of your game box. So I guess we better do that before we go any further. Cool photo idea. This is a flying trapeze rig. I'm going to go up there, swing out, grab Nemesis and pass it to the catcher over there, because apparently when I hear the word cool, I think pink leotard.
There we go. That cool enough for you, Awakened Realms? Huh? The box is meant to be on the stand. Oh, for fuck.
Nemesis begins with your characters being woken up from stasis in the aptly but somewhat comically named Hibernatorium. See, I told you this game was a comedy. The alarms are blaring, lights are flashing, the ship is at red alert, and... oh, I've got something for this, hang on. I've been waiting for an opportunity to use one of these things on my lights. Look, red alert. Wow, wow, wow. Is that working? No, because I can't be there and here at the same time, can I? We need to get someone else to do it. We don't have anyone else. All of your friends have jobs or social lives or don't like board games or don't like you. Anyway, you've come out of stasis prematurely. You don't know what's going on. No one's offering you a coffee. Rude. And what's that on the floor over there? Why, it's your good friend, Mark, or Steve, or Samantha, or you can't remember because of the brain fuzziness, but they've got a big hole in their chest and the floor is painted in red. And thus Nemesis begins. Collectively, we'll have to figure out what the dickens is going on, and individually, we'll have our own objectives to worry about. That's right, each player has their own objectives and they may or may not be compatible. Objectives might include things like the ship must reach Earth, Player 2's character cannot survive, the Queen must be killed. This game may be showing its age a little. I've got some bad news, I'm afraid. She's already gone. Players are given 2 objective cards, and fairly early in the game they make a choice. So know this, if another player is gunning for you, that wasn't randomly assigned to them. They chose that. Perhaps that's a little mean-spirited of them. Or maybe you're just a bit killable. You ever think about that? Maybe you deserved it.
We're going to play the 6-hour-long, very thematic Nemesis.
Let's assume that everybody wants the ship to get back to Earth. Because we all picked the nice objectives, right?
Yeah, nice objective.
Right. For that to happen, there are two conditions that need to be met. At the rear of the ship are 3 engines, and at least 2 of those 3 engines must be functioning. Otherwise, the ship could just be going round in circles. How do we know if they're functioning? Well, don't worry, my colleague is down in the engine rooms now having a look. Did you fix the engine or break the engine?
Yes.
Which one?
Nemesis is an engine building game.
That's not helping. The second condition, in the cockpit, the ship's coordinates must be set to Earth. Well, don't worry, my other colleague is in the cockpit now. Are we heading to Earth?
Nemesis is a coordinates checking game.
That's not a thing. What's the big deal? If I want to check the engines or the cockpit, I'll just do it myself. I've made it this far in life without any help, and I'll be damned if I'm ever going to trust another human being. Well, yes and no. Moving around the Nemesis is a lot easier said than done. Anytime you move into an unexplored room, you're going to have to flip over an exploration token. Oh look, this room's malfunctioning. That's fun. Any more than 8 malfunction markers on the board and the ship explodes. Oh look, this room's on fire. That's also fun. Any more than 8 fire markers on the board and the ship explodes. Oh look, a door shut behind me, blocking off any chance of escape. That's an odd feature for a spaceship. This number here tells you the amount of items that are in a room. You align the room with an arrow and then rotate the room as items are scavenged from it. Ah. Ah. After resolving the exploration token comes the real kicker. Anytime you enter an empty room in Nemesis, whether explored or not, you must perform a noise roll.
Noise!
In space, no one can hear you scream. But do you know what they can hear? Everything you do in this game! When you move into an empty room and perform a noise roll, you'll have to place a noise marker in one of the connecting corridors. Not a problem, unless there already is a noise marker in that corridor, in which case we'll have to reach into this little bag to determine just what kind of horrendous nightmare is going to come attack us. So that noise roll we just did, it often looks a bit more like this.
Noise!
Inside this bag are 5 different types of intruder, and they are all a different shade of the same bad news. First up, we've got the larva. These little bug creatures will make their home inside your body, which actually isn't too much of a problem unless that one event card comes up where they burst out of your chest. And what are the odds of that happening? I don't know. I just know it happens to me every single time. If they do burst out of your chest, they'll become creepers. These creepy creepers will creep around being creepy until they become adults. And it's the adult intruders that make up the bulk of enemies you'll encounter. These adults, they know how to change a tire on a car. They keep up with their mortgage payments. They get excited about buying cutlery. The breeders come next. The breeders were adults, but they were very good at breeding, so they blew up on intruder OnlyFans. Now they can tank twice as much damage and are harder to hit. And then lastly, we have the Queen. The Queen has a big, spiky head. And that's all I can think of to say about her. You may have noticed that all talk surrounding these creatures, we've been using the word intruder. And you might be thinking, isn't there a more common word we use to describe extraterrestrial life? Not in Nemesis, there isn't.
Oh my god, you're being killed by an alien!
What did you just say?
I said you're being killed by an alien.
Don't say it again, intruder!
Huh?
We don't use offensive, antiquated language like the A word anymore. You're awful. In truth, the reason the A word isn't used in Nemesis is likely because the game is trying to distance itself from a certain Hollywood feature film franchise which it so clearly draws inspiration from. And you didn't need me to say it, you figured it out already. You've got these horrible monsters in space. There's even a cat which acts as the player one token. The game is of course drawing heavy influence from the seminal Hollywood classic, Space Jam. Sylvester's a cat, that works, shut up. Every round of the game, this tracker will move down, and when it reaches here, the hibernatorium reopens, allowing players to get back into stasis, which they're going to want to do, because when the tracker reaches here, the ship will jump to warp, and anything not in stasis will be atomized by extreme acceleration. There is, however, another option. The escape pods. The escape pods will always head directly to Earth, so no need to worry about coordinates or engines, but they start locked, and the ship's AI will only unlock them if the self-destruct has gone off or if a crew member has died, not including that guy at the start. Apparently we didn't like him very much, that didn't constitute an emergency. So if nobody's died yet, it's not an option you can count on. Quick, open the escape pod!
I only open in the event of an emergency.
How is this not an emergency?
Don't you think you are overreacting?
Half the ship is on fire! There are hostile intruders everywhere trying to kill us!
Oh, stop being such a drama queen.
Okay, wait here. Will you tell him you are trying to kill me? Thank you.
Yeah, but you might just be saying that for attention.
Anytime you're attacked by an intruder, you'll draw one of these cards. You'll suffer a combination of light wounds and serious wounds. 3 light wounds becomes a serious wound, and 3 serious wounds will be the end of you. Ow! A light wound! Ow! Stop light wounding me! Ow! That's 3 light wounds. That's going to be a serious wound. Give me the card. Let me see what I got. Leg. Ow! Oh! I'm not having fun! Alongside injuries, interaction with intruders will likely score you some contamination cards. These cards will clog up your deck and can prove fatal at the end of the game. But you do get to scan them in this cool scanny thingy. So who says being infected by a horrendous parasite can't also be fun? Because you get to go beep, 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 beep. So with all that said, how do you win a game of Nemesis? You must complete your objective. You must survive, either by getting back into stasis with the engines working and the coordinates set to Earth, or by getting into an escape pod. You must pass a contamination check. You must provide 2 references from previous landlords, and you must complete your self-assessment tax return by January 31st. Simple. The gameplay of Nemesis is split into 2 phases, the player phase and the event phase. During the player phase, players spend cards to take actions. This continues until players are unwilling or unable to carry on, and then we move into the event phase. During the event phase, time trackers move, intruders attack, and cards are drawn from the event deck. Now, there are no good cards in this deck. There's no you've won an intergalactic beauty pageant, have $200. No, they range from benign to catastrophic. Like, you've won an intergalactic ugly contest, and now we're going to break your legs and take $200 and call you stupid, and the ship's about to explode. So what are the actions a player can take on their turn? Let's just go through them quickly now. Movement, careful movement, shoot, melee attack, pick up heavy object, trade, craft item, use item, check coordinates, set destination, check an engine, try to hibernate, recharge your energy weapon, send a signal, treat your wounds, try to enter an escape pod, initiate the fire control procedure, initiate the self-destruct sequence, stop the self-destruct sequence, analyze an object, take an egg, search for an item, perform a surgery procedure, start emergency depressurization, catch a breath, have a snack, open doors, close doors, check the engine state, lock an escape pod, unlock an escape pod, check a room and exploration token, take a shower, demolition, interruption, rest, search, computer skills, basic repairs, fast repairs, suppressive fire, covering fire, motivation, order, reload, knowledge of the ship, piloting, old friend, ingenuity, pyrotechnic, technical corridor, full auto, Nemesis steal, taking aim, adrenaline, reconnaissance, scavenging, blocking X, intranet, risk assessment. Now that might seem like a lot, but most of those actions are contextual and won't be happening that often. For the most part, you'll just be moving, searching, and shooting. Anytime you are in the same room as an intruder, you are considered in combat, and that's when you can take the shoot action. Assuming you have ammunition, which you probably don't. But if you do, you can roll a combat die to see if you've hit it. You probably didn't. But if you did, you can draw a card to see if it's dead. It's probably not. Players cannot shoot other players. The crew of Nemesis have been microchipped and they are physically incapable of attacking one another directly. So who are the crew? First, we've got the captain, able to boss other people about, and because of those microchips, they are literally unable to say no. We've got the pilot, she's got some good tech stuff going on with good knowledge of the ship. We've got the mechanic, very good at fixing things and able to effectively teleport through the ship's technical corridors. The corridors of Nemesis are technically corridors, but the technical corridor is technically a technical corridor. We've got the soldier, who is packing by far the most firepower. We've got the scout, a really good all-rounder. And we've got the scientist. He's also here. The scientist has objectively the worst weapon in the game. He's also the only character who can't run away from intruders. Oh, he can take the escape action just like anyone else, but he can't run away, can he? Imagine being this guy, worked all his life to get to travel into space, where he'd effectively be able to fly, only for the other crew members to be like, yeah, no, we want to put the artificial gravity on. Back in the chair, you. In my experience, about 60% of the time nobody wins Nemesis, but it's always so tantalisingly close, coming down to a single climactic die roll or just one wrong decision. The player elimination will be off-putting for a lot of players, but I have to say, for my money, I think the difficulty and balance of this game have been fine-tuned masterfully. It's not always going to be an Alien or an Aliens. Sometimes it's going to be an Alien 3 or an Alien Resurrection. But that's okay, because the Alien and the Aliens are just so good. That was the best game ever! That was so much fun! I can't believe you launched that escape pod without me. Sorry, I'd already done my objective. It's not like I'm going to hang around, is it? And you, when you used that decoy to send all the intruders in with him. That was so funny. Wasn't that funny? Where'd you go? I never liked that stupid game anyway.